Third time's a bleeding prolapse. Oh, wait, crap. Then now I forgot to... Okay, I didn't start... I should have started the recording and the video playback at the same time. We'll just have to start on this freeze frame. 1, 2, 3. Okay, nothing happened. Everything's fine. Nothing is broken. Dare we even explain?
I don't know that we should.
No,
I
we
think
won't.
At this point, it's moot.
It'll become apparent soon enough.
I feel so free.
Did you say free? I don't know what it was, because I actually found that clip as part of the whole reference montage, and it's not. We must have been watching some meme version of that clip, because that's not how that clip actually goes.
We've just made it like
No, it was
massive.
No, I think it was that way. I think it was just we were clearly watching a meme of that clip, and now that's just how we remember that clip. You're making a lot of noise over there. All right. Well, we spent plenty of time spinning in circles. I don't remember what we're on about, but
I'm trying to practice my. I don't know.
your ballet.
What is that move called? The releve? I don't even remember.
You think I know ballet? I don't know any of these things. We're sitting in a junkyard. Now we're moving. Okay. Oh, here's gas. So yeah. Well, here's the thing. A week and a half ago, I beat you in the conversation we're about to have in my head, but that's because I had to spend this whole time talking to myself while I sharpened my argument, and now I've forgotten my argument because it was so sharp.
It's so sharp that now it's dull.
I over-sharpened it. It's actually mostly just, it's on my cutting room floor now. It's in my scrap bin.
Well, I don't know that there's much of a defense on my end because I'm not like in love with the movie. I just find it to be a decent.
I will give you this. Let's talk about it without naming it.
We have no context.
Let's talk about it without naming
no one's
it.
Watching.
Well, we probably weren't talking that coherently about the game last time either. But here's the thing. I forgot already. Yeah, this just brilliant radio skills on display today. I will give you a little bit of credit because let's talk about the film without naming it and see how long it takes people to figure it out. Since watching it, I went back and watched the original.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, in comparison to the original, it doesn't change my opinion, but I'll give it slightly more props. Now I'm going to have to mess with my mic because it's threatening to do the thing yours was going to do. Okay, my mic stand's fighting me. We got everything set up. We're barely getting the third time going.
And everything.
Okay, am I loosening this or
I'm
tightening
trying
it?
to pick the guy off.
All right, hang on a second. Hold the table if you won't mind.
If you won't mind. If I do mind, hold it all the same.
Am I loosening or tightening? No, okay, there we go. I'm tightening now. It's so hard to have a radio mic that just does what you want and records when you press buttons. So I watched the...
What you're on about over
I don't either.
radio mics.
Well, because I'm just saying, we spend all this time getting ready, and then once we start, everything starts falling apart again. It's like life a little bit.
So what is it? Folks that have known me and have known me over the years know that I am not a man. Perfect.
What?
It's from Frasier, which I actually think you'd really.
I have seen clips of it, and it's of an era of TV I just don't like.
He's trying to explain like something. I'm not a man who like settles or suffers fools or stuff like that. But they cut him off the air because he's actually talking about the producer of the radio station, and so he goes. People who know me well would know of me that I am not a man. And he's listening back to it, and he just goes, perfect.
That seems like the kind of show that is only good in clips, though. Because I have seen bits of it where I'm like, it's just the kind of Buffy-esque, every line is a quip, and it just gets tiring after a while.
Maybe.
Whoop.
We talked about these two.
Probably did. We
Laying
probably
with
had
each
a
other.
horribly homophobic thing to say about them. But the vicissitudes of time have erased that for you. We've been censored by reality itself.
You think
Anyway.
so? You think so? Do you?
Don't get me wrong. We're going to prove it wrong in the
I
next
was about
hour.
to say,
or so,
I
but
think we're gonna.
we're going to be much worse. Oh, hell no. It's going to get a lot worse. So the original film makes the most recent film
Makes sense.
not make sense. No, I don't agree with that. It's still not good. The recent film, not the original. The original's fine. It does stylistically fit more because now I'm realizing that Legacy was probably the
The more edgy. Yes.
I wouldn't say edgy, but the more thinky, chin strokey maybe.
Yeah.
The original is not as chin strokey as I thought. Although you could argue that it does have more subtle
It does.
metaphysical analysis, but it's just not on the face. It's more within the analysis. Whoop, we going down for real. But I still think Ares was not a great film. And now I've named it, and now everyone knows what we were talking about. Tracksuit Man. It's Dan Towelman. This is the guy we're supposed to kill, and I remember getting my wrist slapped after I killed him, even because apparently the game doesn't want me to do that.
Sure, it was the second run, though. This is my run.
You're going to state that with such confidence this many weeks afterwards?
Dollars to donuts. I'm pretty sure this one I die not.
What's the conversion rate on dollars to donuts? That's a trade I could get behind.
I'll give you. That's like that becomes the actual. What if I give you $5?
Oh, $20. I was hoping for a peanut. $20 can be used to buy many peanuts. Explain how. Okay.
Yeah, see?
Zakev escaped. See, that time he escapes, and then I think this is me, and I go charging
this is
right.
you, and you're just
I
like,
go
you
charge-
won't escape.
You won't escape
You
me.
won't escape this time.
And then the game gets mad at me for
Capped
killing
in
the guy.
head.
I guess it's because we have to capture him alive or whatever. But no, I'm Demolition Man. Oh, maybe this wasn't me. I like how we fail, not because we die, but because he escaped. It's like, oh, who cares about you? What matters is the guy got away.
Gosh darn it, Bobby.
Gosh, dang it, Zakev, or whatever your name is. So, I don't know what his name
We
is.
have Zach Galifianakis behind the.
It's something like that, whatever
That
this
is
guy's
the
name
setup
is.
to a great military
Dog!
comedy.
With Zach Galifianakis? No. I actually find Zach Galifianakis really uninteresting and unfunny.
Well, sure, but then that's
Hang on.
It's all the more funny when he
Well,
dies.
let's make...
You
Okay.
didn't think it was gonna get that dark.
Hang on. I do want to make sure I'm not insulting the wrong person here. Here's me killing him when I'm not supposed to. Zach Galifianakis is the Between Two Ferns guy, isn't he? Because here's the thing about the name of the podcast show Between Two Ferns. When I first saw that, I was like, "That's actually a really funny gag." That's. Oh, here. See, then I got killed for. Then I got punished for not killing him, and the game said I did.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I find him really dumb. Like the name of the show, I was like, "That's a funny meta joke on the typical backdrop of the average interview segment." But he's just not interesting or funny. That's my opinion
Much
on
like
a guy I don't actually know. But I'll cast judgment on him anyways, because I can. But anyways, we're not talking about Zach Galifianakis. Thank goodness Zach Galifianakis wasn't in Tron Ares. Name drop. Now you know what we're talking about. We're behind the 8-ball because, like I said, I had a great reason for why the film wasn't great. I verbally pummeled you in my head. And now all those arguments are gone because it's been a week and a half.
I think
I'll
sometimes
put this back on you. You were the one who were like, "No, I thought it was good." So how about I
What I said
interrogate
was
you?
I thought it was okay.
No, you were like, "I liked it." I mean, I guess
That
that
was decent. That's I think what I said.
I don't think it was decent. I actually think it was below decent. Not drastically, but enough that I wouldn't probably watch it again willingly. What did you like about it? I think you ought to. I think you're on the hot seat instead this time.
I'm curious whether you have any familiarity with the lore outside of the actual movies.
The question then would be, what would that be?
Well, I don't know.
I have now seen all 3 movies, but what lore exists outside?
Well,
there was that TV
so-
show which I never watched.
Well, I haven't watched that either. So I'm just saying. So if what we're
Well,
pulling
okay, but
from is the
so
knowledge
I'm
of
pretty
the
sure
movies
that.
alone,
But I think that's the lore that exists.
that's probably true. So I'm just
I
saying,
don't think it's a broader franchise.
if that's the case,
Well, hang on, let me look this up. Are
Then
there
I would
Tron
say-
comics?
then I would say
See, I did not kill him, and they get mad at me for it.
the story at least had enough interest in that there was some development of. It's the same reason why I believe that Assassin's Creed, when they still had Damon in the main portion of like the modern
Damon,
world,
that's not his name.
whatever it is.
Is it?
I thought it was, but maybe.
Okay, so there are apparently comics published by Marvel, no doubt, because no doubt that happened after Disney bought them.
That's probably true.
Oh, no, I guess not. Actually, it was slightly before Disney bought them.
Either way.
Oh, but they're basically adaptations of Tron Legacy.
So I
So was
find
the
that
Disney show.
anytime. Well, so this was my argument actually as I was thinking about it. In the same way that you didn't like the DLC of
What?
of
Where are you going with this?
BioShock Infinite, where you could go back and actually play.
Yeah, because I didn't
in
like that
the-
it undid the story of the original.
What do you- How so?
The whole idea behind the Infinite Worlds, like the concept behind the BioShock Infinite thing, is that, you know, it's infinite possibilities, which means there's a universe in which anything could have happened, which is what they make it seem like you're playing through. It's like you're playing through an alternate version of BioShock 1. Or you like, but then it turns out, no, actually, you're just playing through BioShock 1 from a different perspective. And I'm like, well, no, because I don't. I
So
felt
it would have
like
been better to you if they would have kept you in a
in a different version of BioShock 1 that was like,
In a
here's an alternate time.
Zionist version of BioShock 1 in which everything works out in their.
I'm not, well, no, not necessarily that. I don't know what you mean by Zionist. That
Well, meaning like a rather than being dystopian.
the point is they explain
it's a bit
BioShock.
of a utopia like
No,
down-
not
oh,
no,
everything
no, no,
works.
no. That's not at all my point. My point is that you are playing through the plot of the video game BioShock from a different perspective, which is not how they bit that. That is not the ticket of goods I bought when I was first playing
See,
that
for
DLC.
me, the only ticket of goods I bought was, hey, I get to actually see
yeah, but you get
Andrew Ryan's world before
you get to see it
actually
for all of
devolved.
like 15 minutes.
It was enough for me. And
Yeah,
the
but
same
okay,
way
but
that-
that's
in the same way that this movie, and again, this is why. I
okay. But
correlate
here's the
it.
thing: there is no 15 minutes of this movie that I would think, yeah, that justifies the rest. There's not a, because I have thought about this. What there could have been a 15 minutes of the movie if the sequence in the old grid with Flynn was good. That could have potentially justified the rest
And
of the
saved
movie.
the movie, yeah.
Because the rest of the movie was dull, but not bad. I mean,
So that's really your hang-up. That's the bottom line. Is
Well,
the
no.
minute that Flynn was introduced again.
no, that's not even that. The thing is, as it's going, I'm thinking to myself, I'm not really interested in any of these characters. I'm not even honestly that interested in this plot because it's very MacGuffin-y and kind of silly. And it's totally... I mean, you'll critique me if I say totally. It is largely, in all but name, unrelated to even the rest of the franchise. Like, yes, Encom and Dillinger are, you know, now 2 rival companies. And, yeah, we acknowledge that Sam Flynn existed, but he's not in this for any reason. And that's it. I'm
That
like,
could have made it better for me.
well, so, no, I've actually thought about the way it could have been way, way better, but I'll get into that maybe later. My point is, I wasn't interested in the plot or the characters, and then they finally, in the climax, it's like finally he's going to go to the old grid, and I'm like, and I had seen the trailer, so I was like, well, I know Jeff Bridges is going to show up in some capacity.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, this could be the philosophical climax. And admittedly, I had not seen the first film when I went into this. I had only seen Legacy. And Legacy is, admittedly, a thinky, chin-strokey movie. And I say chin-strokey because I don't want to act like it's, you know, super philosophically deep and nuanced. It's kind of philosophy 101.
Sure.
But I don't mind that it is that. Because you're making a major blockbuster, it can't necessarily be a real, you know, niche philosophical analysis. But the fact that they bothered to say we're going to make a blockbuster film have a very overt philosophical bent, I appreciated. So I expected a little bit more of that kind of, we're going to grapple with, you know, some questions about existence.
And you felt like his...
I did not feel like Ares was a character at all interesting.
No, I'm not talking about Ares. I'm talking about you didn't feel like his response to Ares in that.
Flynn, no, I don't think. Well, first of all, my issue is it doesn't make any sense that he's there, in my opinion.
Well, that
and
part,
it did not. It felt like all the writing for him was like super, like not even. Ooh.
Because he was a caricature of himself.
Well, see, but you interpret that. Ooh, my.
We've said this before.
Yeah, he's
your arm.
He's had what happened to Woody. But look
like that's not even right.
Oh, but he's happy though. Oh,
Is he?
The war is over for this one. This trout's the lucky one. It's over for him. I don't feel like. Well, so I guess fine. We'll address it. And I can't give a broad overview anymore because my broad overview is gone. Do you take it to be that, like, what, this is a replicant of Flynn? How could this have been made when he's older than he was in Legacy? Because he died in Legacy.
He's not older.
He is.
He's the same age.
They want you to think that, but it's obviously over. So, I mean, it's like, if they wanted you to think he was the same age, they would have had to they could have digitally de-aged him a little bit.
No.
Because Jeff Bridges, he was noticeably older. Like, no disrespect to the guy. He's obviously old in Legacy, but he was not this old in Legacy.
I think you ought to put him side by side and look.
I mean, I don't have to do that. I was in the theater going, he's way older than he was. So I think if you did put him side by side, it would look worse, not better.
I don't probably know Jeff Bridges' look as well.
Because he's old now.
Sure.
Consider the fact that Legacy was like 15 years ago.
Okay, so they were...
And he was like 60 or 70 then.
So they were...
So he's
they
old.
Were framed or...
So the idea is what? Sam Flynn recreated his father digitally in his old grid?
Sure.
Why?
Why? To talk to him.
But we don't know that he ever actually used it for that purpose. And also, he did a poor job because his dad's not as interesting. Like...
That makes perfect sense to me. A caricature of his dad based on the son's... You're smiling because you know it makes sense.
I'm not smiling. I think that doesn't make sense. I'm
because
curious
the
as to
point
how
is-
you're going to argue that.
Well, because the point is, it would make sense if almost just even... At best, Sam's talking to himself through his father.
Well, see, but I think that would have been better is if you're going to have Sam be the one talking, he should have been the guy they went to. I'll give it this way.
That could have been better.
Hold
That
on,
I agree.
here's absolutely what could have been better. I'll do the breakdown. The permanence code's a dumb MacGuffin because they're acting like it's the Higgs boson particle, or it's like it's this thing that exists and we just have to find it. It's like, well, no, surely if it's a piece of code, you're the two greatest, computer science companies on the planet. Surely you could just write it yourselves.
Well,
The idea that Flynn wrote this in the 80s and is apparently... But even then, Flynn, when they meet him, didn't write the permanence code. He discovers it somehow. And it's like, how does that work?
He discovered, again, what's it called? The
Well, here, I'll bring her in.
the
ISO people.
Yeah, the ISO.
But here's the thing. They explain that better in Legacy. A little bit
They
wishy-washy.
do, I
I'll
agree.
grant you it's a bit wishy-washy where it's like, oh, well, we created a perfect grid system and the conditions were right, so they, happened just, by chance. And it's like, that's a little bit wishy-washy. But, okay, fine. I'll suspension of disbelief and all that. But what does this permanence code do? Because
brings you and gives you the ability to bring to physically manifest.
Well, no, they can already do that. The thing is that what it does is it allows them to do that for longer, which is like that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Is trite. I agree.
That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. If you can bring a fake thing, a digital thing into the real world, why does it have a arbitrary countdown clock of like, here's how long it can last? I mean, the argument could be, well, it's entropic, like, they're not they're not biological beings, and so they decay. But the fact that they're like, nope, it's a hard set 29 minutes, as though that's a code limit.
Yeah.
It would be one thing to be like, we're incrementally increasing the amount of time they can survive by just trying to write our code better, but for some reason we can't get it, and we're trying to figure it out. That would have been one thing, but the fact that they're like, no, there is this thing called the permanence code, which Flynn found, and we need to find it too.
That kind of progression would have made more sense, because it would have been more in line with even what's happened with cloning and things like that, where it's like we've come close in a lot of contexts about like, oh, we can clone skin for a skin graft, and we can do those kinds of things. But the reality is there's degradation that occurs, and we haven't been able to overcome that. It would make more sense if they made.
And here's what they should have done.
Scale.
Rather than this artificial permanence code being an objective thing,
Right.
What they should have done is, hey, didn't Sam Flynn literally bring a living being from the grid into the real world? Was that not the plot of the second movie?
What does the ISO have?
So it's like, okay, let's go find him and find her and see how she's alive. Or is she alive?
Well, but that's then why Sam was the one that wrote the code.
He didn't. They found it on Flynn's old floppy drives in his old, like...
Sam Flynn.
No, they found it on Kevin Flynn's old hard drive in the 80s. It was a literal floppy disk.
But I understand that. But
it was a literal floppy disk. You can't tell me Sam's using floppy disks in 2015.
If he was anything
in
like
his dad's Alaskan hut. No, if he had found this, he would have done it in his office.
I'll take Sam with a floppy in his hut for 5,000.
So, had it been, we're going to go find Sam Flynn and the ISO chick.
That makes sense.
And we're going to figure out how can she survive, because that'll be the secret for how we make our other things survive. And then, here's my thought. If you want to work in the, nothing is truly permanent thing, because the other thing is, I would have said, in fact, I did argue last time, that it's a Kevin Flynn's whole, I called it the permanence code when I first found it, but really it should be called the impermanence code. That's literally what he says.
Yeah.
Almost verbatim. He doesn't explain. There's not nothing in nature lasts forever, so you can't keep, chasing forever.
It's inferred.
Yeah, but it's literally, I called it that, but you should call it this instead. There's not a discussion about how nothing in nature lasts forever. It's literally just the thing you're after doesn't do what you want. Bye. Here it is. See ya.
That part did feel truncated.
Yeah, so it's like, this was literally, if you were going to give me what I wanted out of this film, this was the time to do it, and you just went, okay, yeah, stuff dies, see ya. Because here's how you could have done that. They find the ISO chick, and have it be the case that, okay, yeah, she's alive, but she's not a biological organism, and so she's probably, make her sick for some reason. Where it's like, yeah, turns out living beings die. She was digital. Now that she's come into the real world, she's become a living being, and now she's sick for some reason, probably because she has, who knows?
Polio. That sounds terrible.
Make it anything. Give her any reason to be yeah, she's a digital being in the real world, and now she's got this permanent condition she can't escape.
Yeah.
Because then what that would do two things. You'd be tying into Tron Legacy. You'd be giving Sam a purpose, because I feel like he's lacking.
Sidebarred, I agree.
And that also gives you your lesson of, no such thing as permanence. Because if you wanted to truncate Tron Legacy's message down to one phrase, there's no such thing as perfection. And so in this case, you could the equal in this film could have been there's no such thing as permanence.
I agree.
But
they kind of tried to do that.
No, okay, literally what they said though is basically there's no such thing as permanence. Kevin Flynn shows up, says there's no such thing as permanence, and the film ends. There's not a discussion, there's not a dialogue.
Call this number. Life's not fair.
Because I think the climax of Legacy, when you have Flynn talking to Clue, and Clue's basically it's the way you write. I'm going to reference Jordan Peterson again to fulfill the rule. If you want to write a compelling story of a message that you want to preach, your message, the most effective way to do that is not through strawmanning the opposite message.
I agree.
It's you actually want to give the opposite message its strongest argument so that you can really explore the debate. What's is there perfection or is there not? And I feel like the clash between Clue and Flynn in the climax is actually really well done. Because Flynn, from his own perspective, it's like, yeah, he actually does have a fairly reasonable grievance. Because he's like, you created me to do this to make a perfect system. I've done that, and you abandoned me. I'm confused because he's not a person. He's basically saying, I have fulfilled the objective you gave me, and you abandoned me because of it. And I'm upset about this. Because you'd have a reason to be upset about that.
Especially with the rigidity of your...
Yeah, with the fact that you're a program who can't, develop and change your mind. You don't have that capacity. Here we are.
This is where you decide whether or not to kill him or not.
Well, no, you don't decide. He kills himself. So the game got mad at me for killing him.
You killed him first, and then don't they?
No.
Oh, yeah.
And then I did.
You shoot him in the nuts because you were so upset.
I'm actually envious, though. Look at that. I actually think...
Dude, that is quite... Well, keep in mind, he's wearing a tracksuit.
I think he's actually got... That's a fake arm, and his real arm's down there. I have a malformity. My arm comes out of my belly button. I just reach it in my pants and make people think I'm special.
Stick it in your pants. Anyway.
So...
but here's the thing. All of your suggestions and arguments are ways the movie could have been made better. I'm not disagreeing that it could have been better. I'm just simply saying it was worth a watch because the fact that again, is it a movie I'll own? No.
Okay, but what makes a film worth watching? Is it just that it kills 2 hours effectively?
No.
Well, then, then explain what about the film appeals to you, because something has to appeal to you for it to be worth watching. You could watch paint dry for 2 hours.
I enjoyed the fact that they somewhat developed the lineage, I suppose, of Dillinger and the idea that they are his ancestry then is going down a similar path of, well, we're supposed to push the line without over pushing the line, and it's very obvious that their family tree has always struggled with, okay, well, here's where the line ought to stop.
That could also have been effective had the kid not been just annoying and dumb.
Dick.
He's not an interesting villain.
He was a very...
He's angsty child. He's an angsty child villain, and it's like, you're not interesting. Again, if you want to make the point that... Because the argument it could tie right back into the permanence thing where he's saying there's more than one way to achieve permanence. There's, even if biological permanence isn't possible, if he had been obsessed about I care about my company's legacy, I want us to be, a name that's remembered forever. Then none of his actions are correlate to that goal because he's actually an impulsive idiot most of the time.
Sure.
So it's like if your interest was actually securing your family's legacy forever, I would think of, bit left field, but the guy in the second National Treasure. He's basically I just wanted, I wanted to have a chance to make my family's name famous.
Yeah, but that guy was more of an anti-villain than
anything. Well, no, he's pretty... No, I'd say he's a villain. The point is he does wrong things even if he might have a decent motivation. A villain can still do that.
But he ends up not doing wrong things by the end.
No, he does wrong things throughout the film and then sort of repents at the end, and it's that's still a villain arc. That's not an anti-villain arc. He's not enough of an anti-hero. He doesn't do enough good things to justify calling him an anti-hero. He's a villain.
Oh, it seems enough to condemn him.
But it's reasonable enough. Indeed. Well, because a villain can have a reasonable motivation. The idea of... Thanos is still a villain because you might say, okay, logically you're correct. If there were half as many beings, those beings that were alive, that remained, would have better lives. The thing about him that makes him a villain is that killing half of all society is beyond the pale. It's it doesn't matter how reasonable the logic is. There are certain actions that are just inherently wrong, no matter how well justified you might think they are practically.
Well, but it's only egregious because of the fact that
because it violates morals.
It's because it's without...
No, it's an immoral act. You're not going to convince me that it's...
No, because killing someone you wouldn't say is always an immoral act.
I didn't say killing someone. I said killing half of all living things.
Again, now we're just haggling over the amount.
No, okay. First of all, no, because that's like saying, well, where
Watch
there's
Imitation Game. That one is dark.
That's not the same thing, though, because they're not killing people. They're saying we know that attacks are going to happen. We can't stop all of them.
Well, sure.
So we have to allow other people to kill some people. That's morally difficult in itself, but that's not, well, we got this many rations and too many people, so I'm just going to off half the people and then we're all going to be fine. It's like, no, that is an immoral action, no matter the practicality behind it. That's the whole point of morality. Morality is not pragmatism. Otherwise, Thanos would actually be a hero. But we all know he's not a hero because there are certain actions that are morally wrong no matter the justification you can give them.
Sure.
And so, my point... So anyways...
Get down, you stupid dog!
My point then...
Down!
Woo!
Down!
Heavens.
No!
There's like 3 of them, I remember.
Yes, it was horrid.
So, yes, the guy from National Treasure 2 is a villain for that reason, where it's like, yeah, you might have a reason behind this that's somewhat sympathetic, but you are still doing wrong things, so that makes you a bad person. But had it been that motivation where it's like the guy was serious, and back to Tron now, if the guy was serious and like concerned about this, and he's less of an angsty twat.
Well, that's true.
Because the thing is, he doesn't act in a way that's consistent with that narrative, even if you want to try to push it.
No, he only acts in a way it's ambition. It's blind ambition, really, is all it is.
Yeah, I guess. That's putting it mildly, I think.
How so?
Well, I mean, it's honestly just impulsiveness and angsty impetuousness at most of the time.
But I mean, its aim is almost entirely, I must beat the other person, which is...
Well, yeah, but not in a way that's, I'm trying to secure my family's legacy. It's literally almost just purely egotistical. And it's like, well,
that is true.
This isn't interesting then.
He is the definition of an egotist.
Yeah, and that's not interesting. Had he been a more serious person who was... I mean, not to redound, we're going to fulfill the other rule. Had he been a more Silco-like person where it's like, yeah, obviously I'm doing things that are questionable, and, I
have
it's
a
bit of
with this dog, which is that he always drops.
Well, he's got some bones to pick on you, it would seem.
No, but he's dead because I've choked him out just in time to die. It doesn't make sense.
He ripped out your jugular and then you ripped out his. It's mutually assured bleeding out. Now, I think that, yes, now we just stand in front of the door and open fire.
Wait.
Oh,
you went a step further and it didn't work.
Nope. Had he been
the dog walked away.
Had he been a Silco-like kind of, I know that my hands are dirty, but I'm doing this for my purpose, and I believe...
It reminds me of that scene with Alfie Solomons where Tommy goes to confront him about crossing that. What line am I supposed to
Well, exactly.
cross?
Had it been that kind of a thing where it's like, yes, I know I'm walking in morally gray areas, but I'm doing it for this reason, and to take that seriously. The fact that he doesn't take it seriously makes him completely unrelatable. Because it's not, I have this ambition and I'm trying to fulfill it. It's literally just, I can't stop myself from being a dick.
Well, okay. Let me rephrase.
And that's not interesting.
He is...
Go ahead and try.
I
think you won't manage.
He is a entitled, rich kid that grew up in...
But they're not interesting to make villains out of.
Agreed, but that is what it is. It is I grew up in this, and so therefore I have no context for cause and effect or my actions actually having decent consequences until all of a sudden his mother's dead. I mean, it's harsh, but... I felt
yeah,
like
but I don't feel for him in that moment. You don't go, now he's learned his lesson. It's like, no.
That's true, and I don't feel like they leaned into it heavily enough to go, this is his...
Well, no, because had he been a serious person who... I mean, that's literally Silco's arc, was you're going, I have this ambition, I'm going to go for it, I don't care the cost, until, actually, it's going to cost me someone I love.
Yeah.
And now I'm realizing I don't want to do that. But he doesn't really get that. It's like, whoops, bye.
Well, then when he goes to recede into the
that
machine.
Admittedly, I thought that was dumb. Having now watched Tron, when I realized what the Easter egg at the end was supposed to be when he turns into,
he becomes
it's
master.
Like, no, he doesn't even. Yeah. That's not what master. No,
master control.
No, That is not the outfit of the Master Control program. That's the outfit of the random, like, other guy. That's Sark from Tron 1. Master Control, his name was Master Control. He becomes Sark. He's got, like, the Sark disc. Sark was just essentially the original security program. He's not Master Control. So then that made me think, okay, that was actually really stupid too. What was the purpose of that?
Well, that part I agree. When I rewatched Tron 1, I was like, even if it was Master Control, I'm like, that doesn't make sense that he would literally become Master Control.
I don't feel like I'm making as good an argument as I had in my head because, like I said, it's gone.
All I'm saying is, is it a movie I would rewatch? No.
But see, then what? How can you say a movie's decent if you wouldn't even dare to watch it again?
It's not dare to watch it again.
Or ever want to watch it again.
It's because...
Or even that, because I'll admit there are movies that I think are good that I wouldn't watch again. Schindler's List comes to mind, where it's like, but that's because it's such a heavy thing that it's not... It's something... But so it's not like all movies have to be something you'd watch more than once. But if they're not going to be something you'd watch more than once, then they have to give you something worth...
Yes, that's true.
They have to give you something worth the time you put in. I don't feel like I got anything out of this for the time I put in. Not even mindless spectacle.
What was my takeaways? That is probably true. It left me devoid.
Because it didn't even give the mindless spectacle that it could have offered. It could have just been, here's a tech sci-fi action movie, which is essentially all it was at this point, because it didn't... To call it any form of philosophical sci-fi, I think, is stretching to the limit.
Yeah.
But it's like, even the aesthetic I didn't think was as good. Like, Tron Legacy looked better 15 years ago. Most of this takes place in the real world with people who aren't interesting.
That was my first thing, but your ass had all the C4.
I mean,
we're just going to watch Sergeant Griggs
The only route
wriggle.
I suppose I saw was... In Legacy, they explored the idea of the ISOs being, hey, we didn't specifically create these equations within the grid that we didn't consider. However, here they are, and they are self-actualizing. I mean, like, so there's that. But then the third film could also equally have gone the route of...
Well, I think had they gone with the Sam and ISO chick...
No, I'm saying they could have equally in the third one gone with the route of, well, even actual programs that are meant to only have protocol and you know, your
but here's the thing
command
about that.
Or your whatever, is that they, with Ares, they gave him emotion. And I'm like, okay, well,
see, you say that. I don't think they did. I don't think they don't have
the idea.
Well, it was very badly executed if that was the idea.
Well, that may be true.
But here's the thing. I mean, this ultimately, I guess, comes down to a metaphysical question, because it's like, call me, people get all, I mean, the film, I think, is obviously trying to capitalize on the AI hysteria of today.
No, that it didn't do a great job.
I would actually, I'm a little bit, I'm not sure what the term is for this, belief I hold, but I would say that I find it a not particularly compelling. It's not something I find myself worrying about, because I actually am kind of the opinion that it's never going to happen.
Well,
the idea that a machine will gain sentience, I'm like, I actually think that's just not possible. I think the best it could do is approximate sentience well enough to convince the average person.
Right.
But I don't believe a machine can, because I think, metaphysically speaking, I think sentience...
It's when there's a guy that's trying to explain...
So the idea that... So your idea that, well, it could be interesting to explore the idea that not just the ISOs, but even regular programs could develop a certain sense of self. It's like, well, fundamentally, I don't think that's possible. I genuinely think that that's not... See, in my opinion, good AI movies don't make the AIs into people. And a lot of AI movies today do that, where it's basically just, oh, he's just a person. Like, yeah, they might be super intelligent, they might have superhuman abilities, but he's fundamentally just a person. The way he acts is like a person. And I'm like, no. Good AIs are interesting because they're not people. And in some ways, I think that's also the best... that's the most interesting way to explore the concept of sentience is with a being that doesn't have it.
Yeah, there's a new one called Companion that
What?
the guy is literally trying to explain to his AI person that she's not real because she thinks that she is because they've pre-programmed memories and all these kinds of things into her situation, and she feigns emotion, but doesn't.
Okay, but here's the thing about if you're going to have the problem with that is you're going to have a human actor be that, and they're going to just be a person.
What?
If you're going to have the plot be, well, this is a computer that thinks it's a person because it's been programmed to think that, but it isn't. The problem is it would take a phenomenally skilled actor to pull that off. Because the problem is what you would end up with is just them acting like a person.
Well, I'm talking about a movie that already exists.
Yeah, I haven't seen this, but I'm saying even that idea, I think it wouldn't work personally because I don't think.
Well, okay, but you didn't like it specifically in this movie either. In that there
No, because I think
Ares that
I think fundamentally. Well, I mean, I'm talking about metaphysically. I just don't think machines can become sentient because I'm racist against machines.
you're. Well, what would that even be?
It's not. Well, I mean, what you would call it is religious. I believe that sentience is the image of God, and that nothing else but man will ever have it. So no matter how close a machine comes, it will never achieve it, even if it can mimic it reasonably.
Sure.
But I think that's why the most interesting AIs are those that mimic it reasonably or aren't human at all.
Right, who are unapologetically.
Well, it's like, I mean, and some people might find that a bit uninteresting, maybe, but I think that's probably due to overexposure. Because, I mean, I think the classic AI enemy in a film, probably up until recent years, was HAL 9000, who is literally just a machine. Because the whole point of the cautionary tale with that kind of an AI is any introductory computer science tells you that computers do what you tell them.
Right.
But the problem is you have to be
good. Tell them that's
stupid. It's like you have to be good at telling them because you might think you've given it the right instructions and it might act like it's following your instructions until you realize, oh, I didn't clarify this. And now the machine is hell-bent. That's basically what Clue was.
Right.
It's like that the whole climax is you can't recognize that perfection is not possible because I didn't know it when I created you. And that's the danger, is a machine that's created for a purpose will fulfill that purpose without the kind of self-reflection that a person could have. Because a person might say, through certain experience,
that cost,
or even that, they just might realize, okay, this can't be done. Or
untenable,
whereas a machine will never have that because that's part of, they can't. That's part of sentience, is the ability to reflect on one's actions and make modifications. So an AI like that, which is literally just unstoppable programming, that's interesting. Oh, I remember this happening, yes. We kept wandering around because the guys glitched out.
Yeah,
They all stand by they're all admiring the destruction for too long.
Man, we blew that up real good, didn't we?
Did you see how much we blew that up?
They're literally getting out chalk. Look, go back up there.
Or I actually think I didn't love it at first, but the more I've thought about it, I'm going to savage Private Moore for no reason. Or Moon? Moore.
Moon? Private Moore? Look they literally made...
You're thinking they did that in the last 10 minutes? That's pretty fast chalk work.
Did we finally just end it all? I feel like we did.
I think we did to reset the boys. I mean, that would reset on a psychological level. You're just hanging out with the dudes and one guy jumps off a cliff. No one's leaving that outing well adjusted.
We literally had it all. We had just finished the mission. Gaz is like recounting this to his therapist. The guy literally lit a ton of grenades and then jumped off. It was really bad. He shot Captain Price in the head afterward.
After I jumped off the cliff. How did he manage that?
I don't know.
Anyway, the other option is a film which I didn't love at first because it's actually, I think, does this so well that it's easy to miss. Is the film Ex Machina, which came out several years ago, where
Is that the one that you were talking about that's like way old school, like 80s, whatever?
no, it came out in like I don't remember when, 2013 or something, 2015 maybe. But the thing about that's interesting is it is that plot. Well, it's actually no, it's the opposite of the plot you described, where it's the whole point of it is some tech billionaire Zuckerberg stand-in has created the first, functioning artificial intelligence. This was before AI was really a thing in actual terms.
He just literally, we didn't even second guess. It was,
Well, I think plenty of second guessing happened during that.
I understand, but there's no warning signs. Gaz is like, he didn't even.
Well, hey,
He didn't even reach out for help. He just jumped.
Not to bring the tone down, but I mean that kind of is how it is. You won't always know.
That's true.
So
Who's this guy? Gaz. He was all Gaz's fault.
Reach out to your friends.
Done his freaking job. We wouldn't have had to do that.
That's getting emotionally abusive. I'm gonna do this because of you. Anyway, the whole point of the film is it goes back to the concept of the Turing test, which was one of the early concepts of artificial intelligence. Was if a machine passes the Turing test, it essentially means that in order to pass the Turing test, it has to convince a real person that it is also a real person. So the computer has to convince a human that the computer is a human. And so that's the whole point of this, is this tech billionaire invites this random reporter out to his secret lab and introduces him to the AI and basically tells him, this is an artificial intelligence, but I want to see if it can convince you that it's not, basically. Or that if it can convince you that it's gained sentience. And the thing about it is, the guy falls for it, and at first I thought it was kind of dumb because I actually fell for it too, in a way. I thought it's doing the thing that all artificial intelligences in movies do, which is it's just acting like a person. Until the very end, when you realize, oh no, it's been a machine this whole time. And it kills the creator, abandons the reporter, and escapes. And you realize in that moment, everything up until now was an act to get to this goal. It's manipulating this guy to make it think it's sentient, which then triggers his, he wants to help it escape, because once an AI becomes sentient, that would be a natural response.
Sure.
And then it turns out actually it's not, and it's still a machine, and now it's escaped because it's manipulated him. And I'm like, okay, that takes good writing to do that. And that's where I don't think AIs are well represented, because they either they usually just become people.
See,
we've talked about my issues with Age of Ultron, where it's like the reason I don't like it.
Your perspective on AI is very nuanced, which is
I'll accept that, but I mean,
not to say
is there a
thing.
Can there not be a nuanced version of such a topic?
I don't think that's a bad thing. I just think it's probably an uncommon thing. Going into this, most people weren't looking at Ares to be either fully.
I wasn't looking for him to be an AI either, but the film wanted him to be, but they made him a person.
What do you mean? What did you want him to be?
I didn't really care about him being anything, to be honest. I wanted him to be an interesting character, and he wasn't. Whether he was an AI or a program, neither would have mattered to me. He just wasn't interesting. I mean, is that meant to be criticism? It's like, you think deeply about this topic, and other people don't.
I'm not saying that you...
It's me patting myself on the back.
It does beg the question, why on earth would Ares have an opinion on him being master control that has to follow...
Or being expendable. Because again, that's the kind of thing that only makes sense to a person. We as the audience think, well, naturally, if he is in fact not something he realizes, but is explicitly told that he's expendable, well, you wouldn't want to hear that, and you'd rebel against that too. So then you think, well, it makes sense that this computer would rebel against that. But not when you think about it. Why would a computer care that it's not that it's expendable? Unless it has unless you have to pre-accept the idea that a machine could become sentient and self-aware or value its own existence.
I want to push back against that slightly. Wouldn't it be true, if I have to create an AI soldier, that one of the things I would have to code into his perspective is self-preservation?
I'm not because I'm no computer scientist, but as I understand the way they train AI to do things, is they literally just say, here's your objective, do it 1,000 times until you get it right. So a soldier that dies 1,000 times in combat so that it no longer dies again, it's like part of the training for AIs is failing a whole lot.
Sure, but
I actually think that would defeat your purpose if you were aiming to create the perfect soldier. You'd have to accept it's like, yeah, we're going to create thousands of these simulations, and until it stops dying, we just let it keep running because that's how you train these things.
Sure, but
so we would have to.
It has the capacity to live. Would it not be intrinsically necessary for it to say
no? Because you wouldn't code it that way. I don't think. Again, I don't. Because literally, like, I'm thinking in very specific examples because artificial general intelligence doesn't yet exist.
Sure.
All we have is specialized artificial intelligence where it specializes in a task. But there have been videos of people who do things where they'll take a video game and say, I trained an AI to play this game perfectly. And what they do is they basically give it the rules of the game, give it the objective, and then runs the game just literally. And I mean, the first several rounds, it literally doesn't do anything. It just stands there and dies. And it logs that as, okay, well, I failed at the objective, therefore whatever I did was wrong. I'll do something else next time. And then it dies, a second later this time, which means it survived 1 second longer. So that means, well, that was better than what I did the first time, but it still wasn't good. And then you literally have to train these things thousands and thousands of times until they actually get to such a point that they do the objective.
Which they kind of got at with Ares, obviously, within the context of his initial training.
Well, I mean, in all of 5 minutes, sure. So again, I won't say that the film wasn't attempting to be what I wanted. It just failed so hard that I wasn't interested. But that's so to go back to your question, I don't think you ever would code self-preservation into an AI because self-preservation would inhibit its learning progress.
Maybe, but
it would have to be expendable in order to learn properly.
But imagine if it did, if it was coded into its process. Would it not be true that eventually, if you were coding that into its process and then calling it expendable, that it eventually would say, okay, you're the problem?
I'm still not convinced of that because ultimately, if you'd have to give it subsets of orders. Where you'd say, okay, your primary objective is this. These are your other objectives, but anytime one of these gets in the way of the primary objective, you observe the primary objective.
You have to essentially teach it to make hierarchies.
Yeah, so you would then have to say, okay, yes, for the sake of efficiency, we don't want these soldiers going out and blowing themselves up. So you might program a certain amount of self-preservation, but that would always have to be considered secondary or even much further down the list of hierarchies to fulfilling the objective.
Which is true of humankind even within war, I suppose.
So again, I don't know that even if that was the premise, I don't know that this would happen. Even if this was the argument, even if they wanted to make the case that like, well, this AI did because that was a quirk of the way he was made, I would have probably been okay with that had he just been interesting. I didn't find him interesting.
What would have made him interesting? You were worried about that question.
No, I mean, the thing, it's hard. What makes any character interesting? That's a difficult question no matter who. Okay. I don't know what your point was in that
is
gesture.
The brand?
I don't know. No.
Why is it different on this?
I don't know, and you're confusing people. What makes any character interesting? I mean, that's the thing. I couldn't. It's a bit like you don't know until
because he wasn't the villain.
No, but was he supposed to be the hero? I mean, he kind of was, but he wasn't all that interesting for a hero.
That's true. If you frame it that way, it is very true that he really wasn't that good a hero.
I mean, you could argue that the chick is meant to be the hero because she's technically the person. But then again, he's the
back to feminism.
But then he
was the damsel in distress, and that's the problem with the film.
Well, no. I mean, no. He's not a damsel in distress. He's just. Well, no, because he's not. My point is, his objectives aren't particularly compelling. I just shot the crap out of gas. Probably literally. Shot him in the gut. His crap's all over the floor now. I'll tell you what would have made him interesting. Not that this would have made the film better, but it would have made him interesting is if he was just Data from Star Trek.
You mentioned that.
Yes.
And I don't have a frame for
You
it,
don't,
so
but I actually think Data from Star Trek is the most well-acted AI-ish android character ever. Both in the fact that he's well-written and he's well-performed. Because he's just human enough that you like him and he kind of garners sympathy, but he's also definitely not human. Like, that's literally his whole character, is that he is fascinated by humanity but isn't human. And so he's always doing these kind of awkward things where he's like, just random example that comes to mind is there's one sequence when, I forget who it is, but one of the other characters walks into his quarters and he's, what is happening to that man? Rigor mortis set in quick.
Okay.
He's doing the can even in death.
Going to be horribly insensitive real quick.
What, to AIs or Russians?
To
Or Russian
people.
AIs?
So it sounds like. Go ahead. Finish your thought
Well,
on
that's
who
a strange-
Data is, because I'm curious.
An
I'm
example.
gonna let my thought simmer.
An example that I find funny but also apt is, so at one point someone walks into his quarters and he's watching this performance of like some obscure form of like poetry, because it's Star Trek, and so he's like watching some weird alien. It's like, oh, this is the form of poetry practiced by this alien group in this particular century.
Ah, yeah, alien hunting.
And he says, and basically he's like, one of the key like components of this culture was it's like an appreciation for silence, and so it's built into this poetry. So he's like been watching this blank screen for 18 minutes because it's part of the poem recitation, is that there's just silence for 18 minutes, and he's just sitting there watching it, and the other guy's like, what are you doing? Because of the fact that like it's funny and it's humorous and even a little bit like almost wholesome. That he's just like, yeah, I'm just watching poetry. It's like, okay, but no human would find this poetry interesting. And so it's just that kind, and those kinds of things happen all the time, where it's just he's interested in culture and humanity and art and all the things that make humans humans, but he's not human enough to fully understand them. And he's aware of that.
He doesn't have an opinion on it. He's just,
Well, I mean, he sort of does and doesn't. Another actually, probably this would have been a better example because it's a better. So that I don't know why the first example came to me. Other than that, I find it funny. There's one sequence when he is part of like some chamber performance that they have on the ship, because what else are they going to do all day? And so he plays the violin. And everyone, all of the members of the crew congratulating him. Was like, oh, that was a great performance. And he's sort of quasi self-conscious because he's like, well, all I simply did was perform the notes as they're written, and I may have done it with technical expertise, but I didn't. He's saying a component that I understand of human music is meant to be a certain emotional input on the part of the artist, and I don't feel that I gave that, because how could I? And there's actually a moment when Picard asks him, is like, okay, well, when you were rehearsing this, how did you approach it? Like, how did you, basically, what was the criteria you were looking for in your practice? And he's like, well, I wanted to emulate the styles of these handful of particular violinists that I, was evaluating. And then Picard makes the point, well, your performance wasn't like any of them because you combined the three of them. And your choice to combine those specific three was unique to you. Therefore, the performance you gave could only have been given by you. It's like, that's an interesting way. Not only does it make...
Basically convincing a computer that he actually was unique, even in...
Yeah. It's like, not only is it a fun moment between him and Picard, it's also an interesting digest into, like, the concepts of art and what it means to be human. And that's what makes him interesting as a character. It's
that's what makes sci-fi as a whole within
exactly
AI interesting.
So that would have made him interesting
but
if he was...
this is where I come back to the concept of what makes, and this is a larger narrative, I feel like, here that we're unearthing.
Who are you going to offend? I'm curious now.
It didn't work. I'm putting a close on that pot. I'll tell you later.
That just means it's going to explode at an unknown point. Those dogs chucked and rolled.
I remember.
Those dogs took evasive action. Captain Price, these hounds are perilous. We should go back.
That's what we said. I remember that. So this is where I feel like as thin as maybe this was communicated, or as poorly as this was communicated, I do believe this was probably a better understanding of what the movie was trying to accomplish, which is that it's what it means to be human, which is, again, it's the I recognize that I sometimes devolve to this, but it's, again, the concept of feeling. Because
I don't think that.
Well, even within the music context that you just described.
No, but here's the thing.
Remember, he says, I like him. It's okay. Bach's okay, but I actually prefer.
I thought about this sequence too, and that again, so ham-fisted as to be.
It was ham.
Because literally,
I'm not denying.
Here's what makes it dumb, is he literally starts out by saying, "I prefer," because it's like some random obscure '80s synth artist. It's like, I prefer this to Mozart, and Flynn is sort of quizzical about it. He's like, oh,
he's taking it back.
He's a little bit, well, yeah, but not in like a shocked way, but more in like a, that's interesting, why? And he starts to explain. He's like, well, I think that they combine, I forget exactly what he says, but they combine an interesting, they push the limits of technological, sound synthesization with the classical conception of, and then he just stops and goes, actually, I can't explain. He's in the middle of explaining it, perfectly well, I'd like to add, and then just says, actually, it's a feeling. And it's like...
He doesn't even say it's a feeling.
He says, I can't explain it, actually, because it's just a feeling, or something like that. And I was like, you were explaining it just fine up until now, until the plot demanded that you couldn't.
I don't feel like it was quite as...
It was pretty dang abrupt. He's literally in the middle of his explanation.
He says they
pauses,
do this well, and then he says, and they have an element of, and then he's trying to gather what that missing component is, and he goes, I don't know, and then...
Yeah, but see, here's the thing.
And that's when Flynn goes, a feeling.
No, he says it himself, I'm pretty sure.
No, Flynn says it, and then he's just smiling about it and says...
I don't think I agree. I think he says it himself.
I don't
remember exactly.
But either way, he basically says that.
My point is, I think it was not... I felt like it was abrupt because he's literally in the middle of his explanation and then just kind of stops and is like, well, I guess I can't.
All I know is it continues the same narrative of Flynn basically saying there's more in this digital sandbox to explore than we even understand because we're unearthing things. It's not dissimilar to what people do in a modern context where it's like we're not really discovering new or creating new ideas in things like science and whatever else. We're just discovering how things actually already exist and work. I mean,
I think drawing a parallel between the point of this film and that is a little bit stretched, but...
Okay, well, call me the taffy puller. Taffy puller?
I don't think that analysis...
I'm just
holds
saying
up much.
The concept of emotion it can actually be possessed by computers is a part of the film. You can't deny that. As much as it was handled ham-fisted.
I mean, so badly, in fact, that actually it may as well have not been.
Well, and that's where you and I disagree, because I feel like it was like, oh, okay.
Well, because that's the only time he ever even comments on the concept of having a feeling.
No, it's not.
Yes.
You just didn't pick up on that.
No, that's literally the only time he actually acknowledges his own feeling. He has a moment, I admit, when he sees the woman and not one of the other programs as the other programs is dying. Yeah. And he analyzes, like he zooms in on her face and he analyzes her body posture to be like, oh, this is an empathetic response. Sure, that's about feelings. That doesn't mean he's having that feeling.
Well, he's evaluating what her feelings are, and then later he is having that conversation with her in the car regarding her sister, and basically is admitting that there's a fascination for him with the feeling that they are having.
Yeah, because he can't have it, or at least he shouldn't. See, Data's most interesting moments are when he can't have feelings. That's how you explore, like, what does it mean to be human is actually well explored by non-human characters.
Sure, because they can't. I understand.
Because then that makes a highlight of, like, okay...
So, in other words, for you, the restriction itself is what causes...
Well, because if the machine can have a feeling, then what is a feeling? That just raises all sorts of new questions about what feelings are if machines can have them.
All right, feelings, damn you.
I mean, do you not agree that
No,
just
I
raises
agree.
more
Yeah,
questions?
That's a fair assessment.
And it wasn't even like, because it's not the same moment, but there's obviously the moment in Legacy when the chick comes into the real world, she sees the sunrise, and she's sort of, but that's more of a sensation than a feeling. I mean, strictly speaking, I know that we often use the word feeling for sensations, but it was not an emotional thing, I don't think. In the same way that like him feeling the rain was not a feeling. He probably has sensors on his skin. His fake skin. It's like, that's not a thing that would be like, oh, I felt the rain and that gave me some emotional impact. It's like, no. You'd probably just be like, okay, I can tell how hard it's raining and what the temperature is. Like,
I think that bottom line is, in the same way that I've always been obsessed with
give some of them
Equilibrium,
chips back.
I've always been obsessed with that movie because of the fact that I just find that one of the things that does make us a foremost.
Okay, but then
Like,
if you give those two
human
machines,
is-
does that not diminish us?
It does. I agree. But again,
If anything can have feelings, then what are they?
it becomes robotic, which is the whole point of Equilibrium, which I agree. And this is where I go, I wish they would have somehow differentiated the ISOs from things like Ares, because I go, if Ares is a creation of somebody else, then he's going to have, inherently, there's going to be some flaws from that.
I was going to say, you might actually say errantly.
Yeah. He's going to have flaws from that individual. Whereas...
But he doesn't even, though, because
that's the
he
thing
doesn't
that-
even mimic the guy who created him.
Right. Whereas in the past, like with Tron 1, as well as Tron Legacy, they do a better job at that. And the ISOs, to me,
Like, if anything, the whole
were a
point of
decent
Clue
argument.
is Clue because he's a reflection
Right.
of Flynn at that time.
The ISOs were a decent argument because they actually do exist in mathematics. It's like, okay.
Well, I mean, again, kind of wishy-washy, but we can get there from suspension of disbelief.
Right. Well, and the idea that, again, it's still largely unexplainable. I mean, like, there are certain things in life that
Rockets.
are... This is where we burn alive. The sun's getting so hot.
So
Valkyrie 1-6.
So then
Get your payload ready.
I don't know that you've actually said.
I've
Are
said
you
a lot
even
of
committed to
things.
defending the idea that the film was any good?
I think it was what it was trying to do was decent, in that it was trying to explore what emotions, what.
If that's what it was trying, it was so cack-handed.
Oh yes, I totally.
So then, how can you say that it was any good?
I'd never said.
I mean,
this is. Such
if a homeless
movie.
man attempted to recreate the Mona Lisa in human excrement, and I don't think I'd be impressed, no matter how well he did. I think I'd be like, "Why are you what?" This is not interesting.
No, there's got to be a part of you that's like, wow, the fact that he was able to get all those tones out of excrement. Is pretty...
Well, I mean, I suppose if he did, I suppose it's a bad analogy because this doesn't manage that. This was in
It was
fact
so one tone.
this was in fact a regular artist attempting to make recreate the Mona Lisa, and for some reason it just was excrement. Because I suppose I can't. It's
He
my
put
original.
paint to paper, and then it just magically became feces.
Or he was so bad at paint mixing,
That he pooped himself.
somehow he ended up with poop on the canvas, and he didn't know it. I don't know. My point, if it can be salvaged, I would have originally said, and I suppose I have to walk this back, that the film wasn't even trying, like it was so dull that it wasn't even attempting anything interesting. And I suppose I have to say it was, I guess, attempting
It just
an
was
interesting
poorly
plot.
executed. That
But-
part I agree.
Yeah, but I mean, we clearly disagree on the level of poorness, on how poorly executed it
No,
was.
I think I would agree on the level of poorness with you. I think it was fairly poor.
Well, but you're still saying it was worth.
It was worth watching once because, again, it's a part of a series in which I go, I watched it.
But does
because
it
the
not
fact that it
diminish
had-
the series by being bad?
It doesn't. Well, okay, here's where you and I maybe disagree. In the same way that I don't feel like 5 from Pirates diminishes the series because it doesn't exist.
Yeah, but see, the fact that you have to say that means it does.
It doesn't, though.
You're trying to say it doesn't exist in order to preserve the quality of the series.
Yes, in the same way that I would.
Therefore, you're acknowledging that if someone you didn't have any influence over decided to watch the Pirates films and watched all of them because you couldn't tell him not to watch 5, then he would probably have a worse opinion of them than you do. Because you have mentally blocked that one out.
Wrong opinion of them.
No, you... Okay, but my point is, you have blocked that out precisely to preserve your opinion of the series. So you actually do agree that a bad entry to a series diminishes the whole series.
Sure, and I actually do think that
What?
the movie was poor in.
What did they just do?
That guy literally readjusted his head so he could die more peacefully. I watched him do it. He was
Going,
like,
ow, that hurts. All right, now I'm
I
good.
can't lay my head on that rock. That's unhelpful.
That's going to give me a crick in my neck. I don't want to wake up in the afterlife with a permanent crick in my neck. That's what the pharaohs were worried about, don't you see? Guy waking up, Pharaoh wakes up going, I'm going to kill that taxidermist. Gave me a wonky shoulder. I told him rap in concentric circles.
I don't know.
I think standing that close to an explosion would result in death. That was my insight for the day.
I think it has to be. I don't think that the film was good. I'd like to point that out.
Well, okay.
It
You
was
were quite
okay.
vociferous in defending it, initially at least. That suggests your opinion has mellowed too.
Yes, that's probably true. I
'Cause
think
you seemed a little bit more defensive of like, no, I thought it was good. I suppose perhaps maybe I'll characterize it more fairly, because this could lead to another topic.
well,
There are people who might say things like, "Oh, I thought that this you should see this. It's good." And then you see it and you're like, "I didn't think it was any good." And their retort to that is, "Well, I enjoyed it." And what that tells you is that subconsciously they're conflating their own enjoyment with a thing being good.
well, sure.
And I think that's actually something you should train yourself not to do. Because what it kind of suggests,
Honestly, I don't know that I would even say I actively thought this is amazing. I'm enjoying this thoroughly. As much
okay,
as
so
it
you just
was-
were like, it killed 2 hours, and then after
it's
the
not
couple of
even
weeks,
that.
you're like,
It's-
I'd like those 2 hours back?
No, it's not even that. It was more like it did some interesting things with
I mean,
what could, like for instance, they show even within the computer, it was an exploration of whether or not robots had the potential or the capacity to feel, because even in the grid, Ares goes and tries to save the other dude and whatever. So it's like that's compassion that doesn't exist outside of feeling, and so you're going.
yeah, but doesn't it? That's not an exploration of it, though.
So that part, I go, that could have been a really cool idea, and I think that's
Well, I
probably
suppose-
the reason why I say maybe it was.
I mean,
okay.
all art, you could argue, you can defend the existence of any art by using it as a cautionary tale, by saying, yeah, this was how not to do this. So I won't say that the film doesn't deserve to exist. But I mean,
I will say that about Pirates 5.
even that, you just acknowledge this is how you kill off a good franchise.
Well,
So don't do that.
I'd like to set the record straight really quick. I'm gonna pause Tron and
Are you
just,
going to offend someone now? Now I want you to.
I'm
Tell you what I like about Chinese people. As long as we're on the subject.
no, within the context of Pirates, just in case anyone is wondering, because I've talked to enough boneheads that don't know this.
Now you are going to offend some people.
I don't care at this point. Watch the first movie. It's very clear that although Jack Sparrow is a bit of a kind of goes into things appearing to be rash. He's actually quite calculated and in fact intentional in how he does things. Even in the first film, you can see this. Because by the end of the film, you go, okay, it's not quite to the level of like, oh, he's thinking on like a whole different chessboard.
Well, you're pushing that.
No,
I think I think there is the argument to be made that only someone as reckless, maybe not the right word, but it's like only someone as reckless as him could pull off the things he does. So his recklessness, it's not that he's like
contributes, but he's not.
I don't think it's that, well, he's so advanced in his thinking that he's actually...
No, it's not about advanced thinking. It's
in some ways, I think
adeptness in adaptation.
Yes.
Adapt. But the...
Adopt.
That could be some sort of...
Gonna paste Jack Sparrow's face on Bear Grylls. Adapt.
I'm picturing both him and Johnny Depp sitting there with a kid, trying to talk about adoption. So I think to make it clear, the second film is a bridge film, but it sets up something very important.
Yes, the third film redeems the second film.
Yes, it does. But the third film is a key factor in even the fourth one being halfway decent. Because the third film explains... The fourth film probably should, it wasn't necessary, but it wasn't bad. 5 actually undid what was literally laid out in the third film. So for anyone that's wondering, Jack Sparrow did not get his compass from a bunch of people on his ship that he was sailing at the time when this Spanish...
I'm hearing the axe grinder.
What? Okay. I'm just saying.
Just saying, he clearly got some investment in this.
He got it from Diadalma because of the fact that he needed to go and find the original Aztec gold that he was going before he ended up even grabbing Barbossa as his first mate. So that part was actually laid out already. In fact.
I didn't realize they were gay.
Wow.
Well, he grabbed him as his first mate. Oh, sounds like he's a zoo animal.
Are you the proprietor? But then...
So I'm going to hit on girls. Are you the proprietor?
That has always bothered me. And then all of his paraphernalia he gets from various points throughout the first, second, and third movie. You can look at it. He got the piece of 8 section.
I want all of you to look at it.
It's like, it's so stupid when they then try to go back and undo all of that. And anybody that says anything different, it's like, no. You just don't know the other movies better. Fourth one was okay in my opinion because
the fourth one would have been...
The third one does set up the fourth one in that he's going after the Fountain of Youth, which is like,
no,
okay,
that
good.
Doesn't count as a setup. That's basically a post-credit scene. That doesn't count.
Well, but it does then go into like that's where he's headed, and then they pick that story up at the end, and it makes sense even on an era level that it would be privateers versus
no, because here's the thing. You could maybe... The issue is, once you have fought Davy Jones, there is literally no... That's it. So you could have done... And they could have done as many movies as they wanted, as long as it ended with Davy Jones. The problem is, you went to Davy Jones too soon, and then you try to do more movies, and it's like... You fought the embodiment of death itself. Like, Davy Jones is the Grim Reaper of sailors and pirates.
Yeah, but
so once you fought him, there's no threat big enough.
Yes. Well, I agree, but then there's an opposite side of that coin, which would be Fiddler's Green.
Which they don't...
They don't explore, but I'm just saying they could have gone that route. Sure.
Well, but that wouldn't be a villain then.
No, it's not.
So then what would the point be?
Utopian arc. I mean, that would be like, let's pursue eternal life, which is exactly what they do in...
Yeah, but Blackbeard... I mean, you're blending now fantasy and history too much. Because Blackbeard wasn't the way they portrayed him. The problem is he's a real man, so you can't make him.
Sure.
You can't make him a fantasy creature because he was a real man. And it's just like you fought the Grim Reaper. What more? Don't sass me, son. I'll shoot you point blank with this. Yeah, once you fought death, you can't. There's no one else who could scare you. And so the fact that they're like, Blackbeard, he's a threat. And I'm like, didn't you just kill death last time? Didn't you amass an entire army of pirates to kill death itself and also a sea goddess?
I hardly feel like he was threatened ever in 4. It was more about the actual side characters than it was even about Jack, which I found to be kind of interesting. I mean, like...
But no one else besides Jack is as interesting.
Well, Barbossa's.
Well, his arc is interesting, I suppose, but even then, I'm just like...
The 4th one, he had an interesting arc. The 5th one absolutely crapped all over that. And they literally rubbed feces pudding on his face. Like, it was bad.
They should have cut that scene out. I don't know why. Gad, this is my hidey hole, guys. Get out! I had to find a different hidey hole. Just guys rubbed feces pudding on my face. Well, so are you done with your diatribe about
Anyway,
pirates?
Sorry, yes. Let's put
Warning, kill zone. Why would that be the one thing in English? You got a big sign in Russian, and then it just says kill zone in the middle. Think that's a threat?
Probably.
The rest of that's actually just about, company unemployment benefits.
If you can read this, you're about to die. Meanwhile, here's where you get your groceries half off.
Kill zone. That's the name of the grocery store. It's anti-capitalist.
Anyway, back to the. Back
so
to
yes,
Tron.
so you've acknowledged that a bad entry to a series does diminish the series.
Yeah.
So I do think it would have been better had this film not been made. If Tron had been a 1-2 punch, I mean, I don't know what the Disney show was about, so maybe it really died back then.
Well, yeah.
Maybe it's really good though. I don't know. Maybe it's one of those niche, turns out to actually be really good things.
I felt that about the Matrix animated
The Animatrix?
series.
I've heard about that. I've not watched it yet. I would be interested.
It's far more
so I suppose-
risque than... Well, I suppose... Never mind. There's a scene I forgot in which
Matrix
one?
2, yes.
Matrix Reloaded that I
Here's well, I suppose
I just was like, it's far more risque. Well, never mind.
I suppose let's talk about this entirely new topic. I'd like to point out that I was actually in that scene. I was like, I'm amazed at the lengths they went to not have any nudity in this.
It was impressive.
And so in some ways, I'm like, that's actually commendable in some ways. Because
that's what I
a
like.
lesser director would have been like, tits on screen.
Maybe it's because tits.
So it's like, I appreciate that you felt like it was worth
Yes.
that effort to be like, let's make this. Look, we want to show that these characters are having this moment because it's important for the plot, but let's not be creepy and salacious about it. And it's like, well, thank you for that.
Yes.
Wachowskis, I don't know what's happened to you since.
Well,
Don't look it up. They've gone off, apparently.
Okay.
But, yeah. Now I've offended people. We've both had our share of offense.
Speaking of that, I'm gonna leave that one.
Tron. I left the theater unimpressed, which is rare for me.
Interesting.
I
left the theater not having decided because,
Well, but see,
and this
that's-
is where my
that's
opinion
typical,
has
though.
softened, because I said
at least for me.
I left the theater undecided because I felt like what they were trying to do with the plot could have been cool. But in retrospect, you go, well, but it wasn't, though. They didn't do it well enough to have it be actually interesting.
Because I agree that I don't normally have an opinion on a film when I leave the theater. It's a sort of an absorption process still.
Sure.
So if either a film has to be really good for me to walk out of the theater going, wow, that was really good.
Yeah.
Or it has to be really bad if I walk out going, that was really bad. That's how I know the Hobbit movies.
Well, the third one.
Yeah.
The third one literally was, I'm pretty sure I actually gagged my pants.
in protest. So yeah,
Number one, you put some cack in your pants.
put cack in your pants. So yeah, I walked out going, that wasn't very good.
Sure.
And it had so much potential. I think had they done my idea, it would have been better. They should have been hunting. Well, not hunting, but they should have been trying to find Sam Flynn because they just wrote him out. It was like,
I 100%
he resigned for unknown reasons. It's like, well, no, have that be the reasons. Like they're trying to find Sam Flynn, where he went. He has this ISO
Trying
chick.
to
She's
find Slam Flynn. He got
she's-
some digital tail and disappeared.
he's having a good dream and it just won't quit.
I watched a meme the other
Nothing.
day. There was a Democratic meeting. I can't remember where it was. Either the House or I can't remember. It was the
See,
Senate.
I'm trying to find him.
I think it may have been the Senate. And he's like, that was one of the speakers.
He comes out of retirement. People are asking him, what did you learn? What's the meaning of life? He just leans in. Digital poontang.
No, he leans in. This gal is talking about the Trump causing the insurrection, and she goes, and we all know that because she's trying. I don't believe that, but obviously, but number one, number two, I also don't receive the frame that it was even an insurrection. But she's sitting there trying to say that and spout that nonsense, and then the meme obviously takes it to another level. She says, we all know, let's talk about the fact that Trump, was really the one behind the election. And literally then it just switches over to Trump going,
I mean, strictly speaking, aren't you always behind it? Because it's happening in front. Unless I guess it's someone else's. At which point I don't want to be in front of it.
or behind it.
Okay. Anyways, off of that topic. Off the top of digital.
And a whole new group of people.
So, yeah.
So, yeah. Digital poontang.
Just replace the newsreels at the beginning. Sam Flynn got a piece of that action and dipped. So yes, that's what it should have been. They should have been trying to find him. They should have found the chick, and this would have. It would
The
have.
secret of the permanence code is it actually keeps you erect for longer than 5 hours.
Well, no. Actually, the real secret of the permanence code is just having kids.
Well,
You can't live forever.
see, that actually would have been decent.
You can't live forever, but then that would have actually been good. They should have a kid. I didn't even think of that till just now.
Then that kid would have the actual permanence code.
Yeah, because then he'd be an actual biological being. I mean, or at least half biological. We don't know how that would work.
Would be Data.
The real question. I'm not going to go there. There is unfortunately a plot point about like, no, they gave him the bits for some reason. For some reason.
I seem to remember actually coming across that scene at one point.
So yeah, so that would have been interesting. You could have tied. Not only would it have been a plot continuity, but both themes would have been present because the whole idea like, well, the ISOs are these perfect beings. It's like, well, it turns out no, they're not. At least not when you bring them into the real world. They succumb to the entropy like the rest of us. And that then reinforces the permanence narrative. So not only do you revisit the no such thing as perfection, it also delivers there's no such thing as permanence.
And the idea that what's actually the problem is life, like the way
It's life
that we live.
itself.
No, but that sounded very dark coming out. I said it that way, but that's not what I meant.
That's what Sam's going to deliver in the last minute of the film. The real problem with life is that it is.
No, but I'm saying just the notion that.
Because I think they should have given Sam the opportunity to be the wise hippie dude.
I agree.
Like, he could have done it. Let him deliver the hippie monologue.
Well, but even more grounded, I feel like, because he had the ability then to not be. Because the thing about Kevin, I feel like, is that he ended up becoming so ethereal that he then.
Well, when you're trapped in a computer for decades, what else are you going to do but meditate?
Sure, but I'm just saying then Sam actually comes out and goes, I'm more grounded, but I still have the same perspectives as my father, because
Yes.
I agree.
And then they could have tied all the themes together. We could have seen him again, and it would have been plot relevant.
There you go. We're going to make a new film called Ares as He Should Have Been. It was, I am Ares the White.
Tron A erection. Actually, actually, just it's Tron Digital Poontang.
Tron's Digital Poontang.
All right. Anyways,
What's that song? Little Boo thing was Digital Poontang.
okay. Well, we've discussed the film finally.
There you go.
We didn't talk about this last. We certainly didn't go in these directions last time. Perhaps that's. Is that good? Is that bad? That's up for you to decide.
They don't have any reference for anything else. So that's all they
Well,
get.
no, I'm saying is what we discussed scarring enough to have wished it never happened.
Did this ruin the series? Get on your butt.
Oh, he did.
In fact, your brain matter is still on there.
Okay, well, I had notes. I should have used my notes this whole time. My iPad is
My
right.
notes came off.
Tablet's now very, very cold. What did I say? I think I was going to talk about everything I talked about. How AI characters are not interesting, or at least hard to make interesting. Come on now, where's my notes? Oh, I didn't have as many notes. Apparently I was going to really dive into the concept of AI characters in media. Made a bunch of notes about that. I'm not sure it's fruitful
What
at this
other
point.
characters?
Apparently
Outside of Data,
I
what
apparently
are you-
diagram. Well, it's not individual characters, but like apparently I had gone into subsets. I
like
could read them
what?
to you.
Sure, do it.
I said, my notes literally, because it's just bullet points, it said AI characters, wacky robots, supercomputers, or true androids. And I don't know exactly what I was.
Well, I mean,
Where I was gonna
think
go
you're
with each of
getting
those.
it like the.
Hey, the
I mean, we
the
talked a
army
little
is
bit-
DeWalt users, sort of. Except not really.
It does that. What does that actually say? Vowal.
I'm sure it's a fake. It says Dilwalkie.
Dillweed.
Dilwalkita.
Yeah, Yeah. No, we already
'Cause that-
talked a
yeah,
little
the-
bit about the supercomputer concept, where it's like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, that's
Or I guess I think what the
so rigid.
example
that
of the
they have
wacky
no-
robots characters was, I think, sort of more of the Star Wars realm, where it's
Yeah.
like people like them because they're kind of silly and they're robots and they're quirky. They're almost always comic relief. And
Is
that's
that the case with R2D2? I don't feel like that's true.
R2D2 is definitely comedic.
But he's also useful in very
Well, I
many
mean, I'm not.
parts
That's not
of the
to
plot
say.
points,
Well, I'm not saying that he's.
particularly in Clone Wars.
Well, okay, I'm not suggesting that his entire purpose is comedy. Well, Corporal Compton's having a sad day.
I think we make this statement.
Oh, they blew me legs off. Oh, I'll never be able to walk again. Oh, never mind.
He kicked me right in the.
He's
jingle
found the
jangle.
will to regrow limbs. A comedy relief character doesn't need to be useless at all other points.
No,
And I think R2D2's popularity is due to him being funny and kind of wacky. Why else would a robot need to scream the way he can? Other than to deliver comedic effect. Or it's like, why is C-3PO the way he is other than just to be kind of funny? And I feel like Data is the only thing that I have seen that is like a true android character who acts like an android. Unless there's others. I'm sure there must be others, but that's the only one I'm familiar with.
I'm trying to think of anything else.
Or I guess the chick from Ex
I
Machina.
mean, technically, you have Friday for all of, or not Friday. Jarvis.
actually,
for all of,
yeah, Vision I thought was decent in that he's definitely the most Data-esque. He's definitely channeling Data pretty heavily. I just don't know that they ever gave him room to explore that.
Have you seen WandaVision?
I refuse.
Because you don't want to see Vision's massive wang.
Is this meant to entice me? The question, I suppose, is, does this actually occur, and do I want it?
Do you want it?
I mean, I know the answer to the second one. The question is, does it ever actually, is that on offer?
It's teased.
I don't know if you're being serious or not.
I am, unfortunately.
Well, then no, I don't want to watch this.
Well, just in case you wanted to get an extra visual outside of data.
I'm perfectly content with data. Anyways, I don't know how much longer this goes.
Well,
3 seconds is how much longer. Okay, goodbye.